Do you realize the biggest reason people fail isn't bad luck or lack of talent, but the way their mind collapses under pressure? If you can't control your thoughts, your emotions will control you. This audiobook exposes the hidden psychology that keeps you stuck and gives you the exact blueprint to turn fear, distraction, and doubt into unstoppable power. Before we dive in, take a second to hit that like button and let us know in the comments where you're listening from. You might be surprised to find someone listening from the same place as you. The introduction. If you can keep your mind clear when pressure tightens around you, you win long before the world notices, because nothing outside will ever be strong enough to shatter what you have fortified within. That isn't performance language. It is a law most people quietly ignore. They spend years rearranging the scenery, jobs, routines, people, yet never take command of the one instrument that conducts the whole symphony, the mind. When your thinking is weak, your emotions become governors over your life. When your thoughts are scattered, your actions fragment. But when the mind is sharpened, steadied, and trained, you become the kind of person who doesn't break, doesn't panic, and does not quit. This audiobook is not crafted to entertain you. It is here to wake you. It will build in you the kind of mental architecture that performs under pressure, stays calm in chaos, and understands how to win when nothing seems to go right. You do not need hype. You need structure. You do not need noise. You need a new standard. Modern neuroscience affirms what sages have long taught. Attention wires the brain. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Repetition is revelation to the nervous system. Each thought is a micro-decision that either strengthens an unhelpful circuit or lays down a path toward mastery. Philosophy calls this self-command. Spiritual science calls it alignment, where intention, emotion, and action resonate as one frequency. In energy terms, where attention goes, life force flows. In cognitive terms, what you repeatedly rehearse becomes your default under stress. Thus, your most urgent task is not to make the world easier, but to train your mind to be greater than the world. You will learn to set the tone before the day speaks to you, to choose clarity before confusion can recruit you. Most people wake and drift. They surrender their first hour to devices, headlines, and other people's priorities, and then wonder why their emotions run ungoverned by noon. A passive mind does not win. A deliberate mind does. Deliberateness begins with a decision: I will lead my thoughts. The world can present stimuli. It does not get to dictate your state. Calm, contrary to myth, is not softness, but control. Parasympathetic precision that steadies the hand on the wheel while storms grind the road. Breath becomes a lever. Posture becomes a signal. Language becomes instruction. Tell the truth to yourself in the morning, and the body takes notes. Today, I will remain clear. Today, I will advance. Today, I will not fund useless thinking. The brain listens. Spirit listens. The day listens. This training is not abstract. You will learn to guard attention like sacred currency, to remove distractions that dilute will, to practice small acts of chosen discomfort that build resilience to say only what you mean, and then align your behavior to your word. Completion will become a habit, not a mood. When chaos arrives, as it always does, you will not outsource your response to fear. You will pause, inquire, and move from principle. You will rehearse calm until calm is the reflex. You will select new habits when old patterns knock, honoring the truth that identity is a practice, not a label. None of this demands perfection. It demands repetition. The basics: waking with intention, directing attention, finishing what you start, and telling yourself the clean truth etch grooves in the brain and clarity in the soul. Over time, The mind you have trained becomes the shelter you live in. Results will speak for you. Your presence will carry order. Pressure will become a proving ground, not a prison. It all begins now with the next thought, the next breath, the next minute of focus. Train your mind to win in every situation, not by magic, but by method, neural, moral, and spiritual method, until victory is your baseline and composure your signature. We start here. We start today. And we do not hand the pen to anything outside us again. Chapter 1. Command your morning, command your day. The first hour of your day is not just a window of time. It is the foundation upon which the architecture of your destiny is built. If you win that first hour, you set the rhythm of victory. If you surrender it, you invite disorder into the rest of your day. Most people upon waking reach for their phones, scrolling through notifications, absorbing the noise of other people's lives, before they have even claimed their own. Their minds, still soft and impressionable from sleep, are colonized by distractions, and their energy is scattered before their feet even touch the floor. This is how entire lives are lost, not in grand mistakes, but in small, unguarded mornings. Science affirms this sacred truth. In the first hour after waking, the brain hovers in the delicate frequencies of alpha and theta states, of heightened suggestibility. This is the fertile soil where thoughts repeated take root and bloom into habits, identities, destinies. To think negatively in this sacred window is to plant weeds in the garden of your day. To think deliberately with clarity and strength is to sow seeds of resilience and focus. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself in response to repeated stimuli. The ancients called it the law of mentalism, as within so without. So the task is clear: seize the first hour. Do not allow it to be auctioned off to algorithms or anxieties. When your eyes open before your hands reach for anything, speak truth into the silence. Whisper to your own soul. Today I lead my mind. Today I guard my energy. Today I advance. Do not underestimate these quiet declarations. Language is not mere sound. It is vibration, instruction, and law. Your subconscious listens. Your cells listen. The field of energy around you listens. You are commanding reality. This is not about superficial motivation. It is about building direction. A strong mind is not tossed like a leaf by winds of chance. It is a compass pointing toward the chosen star. When you rise in the morning and claim your compass, the day bends to your alignment. Without this, you drift vulnerable to every gust of circumstance. With it, you become unshakable because you have already declared, "This is who I am today." Practical steps become spiritual rituals. No phone for the first hour. No chaotic input before clarity. Instead, breathe deeply, letting oxygen clear the fog of sleep and awaken your nervous system. Sit in stillness or meditation, feeling the ground beneath you, reminding yourself that you are supported by the earth. Journal or visualize the day, writing what you choose to create rather than rehearsing what you fear. Move your body, stretch, exercise, walk, because the body is the first instrument of the mind, and movement generates momentum. Keep your environment clean, uncluttered, sacred. Your external order reflects and reinforces your internal order. There will be resistance. Some mornings the weaker self will whisper excuses, stay in bed, delay, drift. That is the first test of the day, and if you surrender there, the weaker self will dominate all day long. But if you rise with purpose, if you override inertia with intention, you send a message not only to your brain, but to the universe: I am serious about my life. And the universe, always responsive, aligns to seriousness. Understand this. The first hour is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about doing one thing deliberately. That single act of clarity echoes through the rest of your hours like a tuning fork, setting the tone for an entire orchestra. Every great symphony begins with a note. Every great day begins with a choice. Guard your first hour as you would guard treasure, because it is treasure, the treasure of consciousness, fresh and unshaped. Whoever controls your morning controls your mind, and whoever controls your mind controls your life. Chapter 2. Protect your focus like sacred energy. Focus is the invisible currency of power. Time is abundant. Everyone has 24 hours, but focus is rare. Two people can live the same number of hours. One builds empires, while the other drifts endlessly. The difference is not time, but the ability to direct attention, like a laser, rather than scattering it like smoke. To protect your focus is to protect your life force. Most people lose their day not from lack of time, but from 1,000 tiny leaks. One message, one notification, one scroll. Each feels small, yet each siphons energy from the well of your mind. Soon, they are not leading their life, but reacting to it, pulled in directions chosen by algorithms, by gossip, by the whims of others. This is mental poverty, to spend your focus on things that do not matter, and starve the work that does. Neuroscience tells us that every time we shift attention, the brain pays a switching cost. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of decision-making and willpower, becomes fatigued by constant redirection. Psychologists call it attention residue, the lingering fog of half-finished tasks and fragmented thoughts. Spiritually, this is the same as leaking prana chi, or life energy. Every distraction drains the reservoir that could have been directed toward creation, clarity, or growth. Where attention goes, energy flows. Where energy flows, reality forms. The competitor's lesson was simple: cut distractions. But we must take it deeper. Distractions are not merely annoyances. They are barriers between your present self and your highest self. Every time you indulge them, you weaken the bridge. To protect your focus is to honor your sacred contract with destiny. Begin with your environment. If your phone constantly pulls you, silence it, or better yet, remove it from sight. If your space is noisy, seek stillness. If clutter surrounds you, clear it for chaos. Outside multiplies chaos inside. Create a ritual of focus, a desk that signals clarity, a time block that feels inviolable, a sacred silence into which you enter like a temple. Winners do not negotiate with distraction. They cut it. But protection is not isolation. It is alignment. To protect focus means you decide what deserves your energy and what does not. Not every message needs an answer. Not every invitation deserves attendance. Not every thought requires belief. Most of life's noise is dressed up to look urgent when it is nothing more than static. Learn to distinguish signal from noise, essence from distraction. When you choose focus, you also choose depth. Depth is rare in a world addicted to surface. Depth requires presence, discipline, and the courage to say no to everything that dilutes your clarity. But in depth lies transformation. A distracted mind is shallow. A focused mind is like water, cutting through stone, unyielding, patient, unstoppable. Spiritual traditions echo this truth. The yogis teach dharana, concentration, as the gateway to higher states of consciousness. The Taoists speak of conserving Jing, vital essence, by not scattering it on meaningless pursuits. Philosophers from Marcus Aurelius to Seneca warned of dissipated attention as the thief of life. Science agrees, flow states, The peak of human performance emerge only when focus is deep, unbroken, and protected. So make a rule: guard your mind as you would guard your home. You would not invite strangers to walk through your living room unannounced. Why invite random distractions into the sanctuary of your thought? Set boundaries with the world. Carve sacred blocks of time where nothing enters. When you are in those blocks, be present, whole, undivided. Focus is not just a skill, it is a shield. It keeps you clear when others are lost. It keeps you moving when others stall. It is both practical and spiritual, a fusion of brain chemistry and soul discipline. To waste it is to dilute your life. To protect it is to step into power. And so decide now, your attention is not free. It is sacred. It belongs to what builds you, not what breaks you. When you live by that law, distraction loses its grip and clarity becomes your natural state. Chapter 3. Build toughness through embracing discomfort. Growth is not born from ease, it is forged in fire. The human spirit expands not when everything is convenient, but when the weight of resistance demands strength. Most people want transformation without trials, resilience without resistance, toughness without tension. But life does not work like that. To grow tougher, you must meet discomfort daily, not as punishment, but as practice. Every great discipline has understood this truth. The Stoics rose each morning, rehearsing hardship in their minds, so that life's blows would not catch them unprepared. Yogis sit in stillness through physical strain to train the mind to transcend the body's cries. Warriors in every culture have endured cold hunger and fatigue to teach their spirit that survival depends not on comfort, but on courage. Science now affirms what sages always knew: hormesis, the process where small doses of stress make the organism stronger. Cold exposure sharpens the nervous system. Resistance training strengthens muscle and will. Difficult conversations build emotional resilience. Each chosen discomfort sends a message to the psyche: I am stronger than my avoidance. Discomfort is not the enemy, it is the teacher. It reveals where your edges are. It surfaces your doubts, your excuses, your fears. It shows you your weakness, not to humiliate you, but to invite you into strength. Each time you lean into the thing you'd rather avoid, you stretch the fabric of who you are. Every time you do the push-up, you didn't want to do or speak the truth. You wanted to hide or finish the task. You wished to delay. You expand beyond yesterday's self. Spiritually, discomfort is purification. Fire burns away impurities in gold. In the same way, pressure burns away illusions in the soul. In alchemy, lead is transformed into gold, not through ease, but through intense heat. Likewise, your character is refined in the furnace of challenges. What feels like struggle is often sacred initiation, life's way of saying, you are ready to be more. Yet most retreat when the pressure arrives. They wait for life to get easier instead of choosing to get stronger. But waiting for ease is waiting for death, for only in stagnation is there no resistance. The truth is, clear discomfort will come, either chosen by you as training or forced upon you as fate. The wise choose it first. So, make discomfort a daily ritual. Wake earlier than you want to. Say no when it would be easier to comply. Speak up when silence would cost your integrity. Train your body until your mind protests, and then continue. These are not acts of cruelty against yourself, but investments in resilience. With each repetition, you are proving that your feelings do not rule you. Discipline begins when comfort ends. Understand, this toughness is not recklessness. It is not about chasing pain for its own sake. It is about choosing the challenge that sculpts you rather than avoiding the one that softens you. Toughness is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is the steady decision to become someone who bends, but does not break, who adjusts, but does not abandon, who continues, even when the mood has faded. When you consistently do what is uncomfortable, you develop a quiet confidence. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that walks into pressure and remains steady. That confidence cannot be faked because it is carved into you by action. People will feel it before you speak. More importantly, you will feel it when you are alone. Discomfort is the gym of the mind, the crucible of the spirit. To avoid it is to remain fragile. To embrace it is to become unshakable. Each time you step into challenge willingly, you remind yourself of the eternal law. You are not here to escape pressure. You are here to transmute it into power. Chapter 4. The power of your word. Speak with integrity. Your words are not just sounds, they are spells. Every syllable you release carries weight, energy, and consequence. To say what you do not mean fractures your spirit. To speak carelessly is to scatter your power. But to speak with integrity is to align language with truth, and in that alignment lies strength. The competitor's wisdom was simple. Say what you mean, and mean what you say. Yet beneath this principle rests an ocean of science, philosophy, and spiritual law. Psychology shows that each time you break your own word, you erode self-trust. Your subconscious begins to whisper, you don't follow through. Your promises are fragile. Over time, this becomes identity. Neuroscience calls it cognitive dissonance, the stress that arises when your actions betray your stated intentions. Spirit calls it disalignment, the fracture between what you declare and what you live. But when word and action become one, you build coherence. Your nervous system relaxes, your energy field strengthens, your presence deepens. People trust you, not because you persuade them, but because they feel the solidity of your alignment. And more importantly, you trust yourself. You no longer negotiate with excuses. You no longer need external validation. Your very speech becomes law in your life because you have proven you will live by it. Across traditions, the sacredness of word is central. In the Gospel of John, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In Vedic philosophy, mantra, sacred sound creates vibration that aligns mind with cosmos. In quantum linguistics, language does not merely describe reality. It instructs it. Every time you say, I can't, you script limitation into your nervous system. Every time you say, I will, and follow through, you carve resilience into your being. This is why promises are not casual. Every commitment is a contract with yourself, with others, with the universe. To break it is to weaken your energetic field. To honor it, even when inconvenient, is to expand it. The more integrity you live, the more life entrusts you with responsibility, power, and respect. So guard your speech. Do not commit lightly. Do not say yes when your truth is no. Do not speak goals you will not pursue, for empty declarations drain energy. Instead, weigh your words as though they are currency, because they are. Each sentence should be intentional, each promise deliberate. And when you speak, follow through, especially when it is hard. This does not mean perfection. There will be failures. You may overpromise or fall short. When that happens, own it. Integrity is not about never erring. It is about facing errors without deceit. Say what went wrong. Say how you will repair it, and then act. This rebuilds trust faster than denial ever could. Philosophers called this alignment, virtue. Warriors called it honor. Modern science calls it psychological congruence. The name does not matter. What matters is this: every time your words and actions match, you strengthen the bridge between who you say you are and who you truly are. The world is loud, with empty talk, promises unkept words, wielded without weight. To live differently is to stand out. Speak less, mean more. Let your words become contracts, carved into your own soul. Over time, you will not need to convince anyone of your truth. Your presence will speak louder than your tongue. And in that presence lies unshakable power, the kind no external force can erode, because it rests not on performance, but on integrity. To speak with integrity is to create a reality that cannot be broken, because it is built on truth. Chapter 5. Finish what you start: building inner trust. Starting is easy. Inspiration is abundant. Anyone can ignite the spark of a new project, a new goal, or a new promise. But the rarest and most powerful act is completion, the unwavering decision to finish what you begin. This simple practice, repeated, reshapes your identity, builds unshakable trust within yourself, and transforms you from a dreamer into a doer. The competitor's words are true: when you leave things unfinished, your mind becomes trained in quitting. Psychology calls this the open loop effect. Unfinished tasks linger in the subconscious, creating tension and draining mental energy. You may move on physically, but the mind remembers. Each time you walk away before the finish line, you whisper to yourself, "I am someone who does not follow through." That whisper becomes a belief, that belief becomes identity, and identity dictates destiny. Completion, however, is medicine. When you finish a task you did not want to finish, when you push through boredom or discomfort, you send a message to your nervous system. My word is law. My actions match my intention. That message builds inner trust, the most powerful currency of self-mastery. With trust in yourself, you no longer require external motivation. You become your own authority. Spiritual traditions echo this truth. The cycle of creation, birth, growth, completion, dissolution is sacred. To abandon completion is to disrupt the cycle, leaving energy trapped, unresolved, stagnant. Incomplete work becomes energetic clutter, lowering your vibration. But when you finish, you release energy back into flow, clearing space for higher creation. Completion is not just productivity. It is spiritual hygiene. Think of the universe itself. Stars burn until their cycle is complete. Rivers flow until they meet the sea. Everything honors its arc. You must do the same. When you declare, "I will," and then do, you are aligning with the cosmic law of rhythm, the law that states every beginning demands an ending. To leave your projects unfinished is to live out of harmony with this law. To finish is to vibrate in rhythm with creation. This does not mean you must finish everything perfectly. Completion is not perfectionism. It is commitment. If you said you would write one page, write it. If you said you would exercise, complete the set. If you said you would clean the room, finish the task. These small acts may seem trivial, but each builds the architecture of a resilient identity. Over time, you will no longer ask, "Will I finish?" You will know the answer always. Understand your life does not change because you start 100 things. It changes because you finish the few that matter. By completing what you start, you cultivate momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds trust. And trust builds freedom. The freedom of knowing you will follow through no matter how you feel. The world respects the finisher. Employers, partners, and leaders all know talent is common, follow-through is rare. But beyond external respect, finishing earns you the deepest respect of all your own. When you can rely on yourself, you stop seeking permission. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop living in cycles of self-doubt. Each completion is a brick. Brick by brick, you construct a foundation so strong that storms cannot topple it. And one day, you will look at your life and realize it is solid, not because of flashes of inspiration, but because of 1,000 quiet completions, honored promises, and finished tasks. To finish what you start is to prove to yourself that you are reliable, that your word holds weight, and that your identity is built on discipline rather than moods. It is not glamorous, it is not loud, but it is unbreakable. Finish what you start always. Chapter 6. Fix your mindset when chaos strikes. It is easy to think clearly when skies are blue and the road is smooth, but strength is not measured in fair weather. It is revealed in storms. When plans collapse, when failures sting, when uncertainty thickens the air, that is when mindset matters most. Most people break here. They panic, complain, or freeze, giving their power to fear. But those who train their minds know chaos is not the end. It is the arena where resilience is tested, refined, and proven. Neuroscience shows us that in moments of stress, the amygdala, the brain's fear center, fires intensely, flooding the body with adrenaline and cortisol. This amygdala hijack narrows perception, making small problems feel enormous, blocking rational thought. Spiritually, this is like being possessed by fear energy, a vibration that clouds clarity and magnetizes more chaos. The untrained mind spirals downward here, mistaking temporary turbulence for permanent failure. But philosophy teaches another way. The Stoics advised, "It is not things that disturb us, but our view of them." Buddha taught the middle path, neither clinging to pleasure nor fleeing from pain, but meeting reality as it is. Modern psychology echoes this in cognitive reframing, the practice of questioning fear-driven thoughts and choosing more empowering ones. Fixing your mindset in chaos begins with awareness. When the storm hits, pause. Do not let the first wave of thought dictate the outcome. Ask, what is real here, and what is fear's exaggeration? What remains in my control? What lesson or strength can I extract from this moment? These questions shift you from victim to creator. The situation may not change instantly, but your position within it does. You move from drowning to steering. Spiritually, chaos is initiation. Every breakdown is a disguised invitation to breakthrough. Just as muscles tear slightly before growing stronger, your mind encounters pressure to reveal deeper layers of strength. When you rise in chaos, you are not only fixing a mindset, you are sculpting a soul. The alchemists knew only through fire does lead become gold. Practical strategies align with this higher law. Slow your breath, inhale deeply, exhale longer, to signal the nervous system to calm. Write down the spinning thoughts to see them for what they are. Stories, not truths. Replace reactive language, "I can't handle this." This is the end, with constructive affirmations. "I have faced worse and endured." This is training for my strength. Each thought is a brushstroke painting your future. Choose carefully. Remember, fixing your mindset is not pretending everything is fine. It is admitting the weight while refusing to collapse under it. You are allowed to feel pain, but you are not allowed to live there. Strength is not the absence of struggle. It is the refusal to surrender your clarity within struggle. Every time you face chaos and choose presence instead of panic, you carve resilience into your identity. Over time, storms no longer terrify you. They activate you. You begin to welcome challenge, not as curse, but as curriculum. Life ceases to feel like an enemy. It becomes a teacher. So when things go wrong and they will do not hand your mind over to fear. Guard it, fix it, lead it. Because it is not the situation that defines your destiny. It is the quality of thought you bring into the situation. Chaos is not your downfall. It is your training ground. Chapter 7. Train calmness under pressure. When pressure mounts, most people tense, rush, and react. Their minds race, their words stumble. Their decisions grow sloppy. They confuse urgency with clarity and end up surrendering power to panic. But calmness, true, steady calmness, is not weakness. It is the highest form of control. It is the signal of a trained mind, one that does not collapse when life presses hardest. Calmness is not a gift you are born with. It is a discipline you build. Just as the body grows stronger with repeated training, the mind grows calmer with repeated practice. Neuroscience confirms this when you train yourself to pause, breathe, and slow your response under stress. You rewire your prefrontal cortex to override fear impulses. Spiritually, this is the art of stillness, the Taoist Wu Wei, the Zen teaching of responding without clinging or resisting. Calmness allows you to see the storm without becoming the storm. Think of water. Disturbed, it distorts everything it reflects. Still, it mirrors truth with clarity. Your mind is the same. Under pressure, if you allow ripples of fear to dominate you, lose sight of reality. But when calm, you perceive the path others miss. This is why calm leaders are trusted, not because they have all the answers, but because they do not drown in reaction. How do you train calmness? You start in the small moments. The traffic jam, the spilled coffee, the unexpected delay. These are not inconveniences. They are training grounds. Each time you resist the impulse to flare up, each time you breathe, instead of snap, you strengthen your calm muscle. Small victories prepare you for great battles. If you cannot remain steady in daily annoyances, how will you hold firm in life? Altering crises. Physiologically, calmness is cultivated through breath. Slow, deliberate breathing signals the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's calming mechanism, that you are safe. This biological truth aligns with spiritual practices across traditions, pranayama in yoga, mindful breathing in Buddhism, and contemplative prayer in Christianity. All point to the same wisdom. The breath is the bridge between chaos and calm. Another practice is awareness of triggers. Who unsettles you? What situations ignite your reactivity? Map them, name them, anticipate them. To know your triggers is to disarm them. Without awareness, you are caught by surprise. With awareness, you are prepared. Preparedness itself creates calm. Most importantly, make a vow: I will not let panic own my decisions. Write it, repeat it, embody it. Calmness is not passivity, it is poise. It is the refusal to hand over your mind to fear, no matter how loud it screams. Calmness buys you the space to think, the clarity to act, and the composure to lead. Spiritually, calmness is magnetic. When you embody it, others feel safer in your presence. You become the anchor in the storm, the steady point others instinctively trust. And beyond others, you become trustworthy to yourself. You know you will not betray your higher judgment in the heat of the moment. That inner trust is power beyond measure. Remember, pressure is not the enemy. Poor thinking is. Train yourself daily in small moments. Choose calm in traffic. Calm in arguments. Calm when your plans unravel. Over time, calm will cease to be something you fight for. It will become your natural state. And when the great storms of life arrive, you will not be the one swept away. You will be the one still standing, calm, steady, and victorious. Chapter 8. Renew habits, choosing evolution over old patterns. Your old habits will always return. They are shadows of your past self, waiting patient familiar. They do not vanish simply because you decided to change. They linger in the background of your nervous system, coded into muscle memory triggered when you are tired, stressed, or distracted. And when they reappear, you will be tempted to believe you have failed. But you have not failed. You have been invited. Invited to choose again, to reaffirm who you are becoming, instead of collapsing into who you were. Science calls this the habit loop cue routine reward. Old patterns repeat, not because you are weak, but because your brain has wired them as efficient defaults. Spiritually, they are karmic imprints, echoes of choices made so many times that they have become grooves in your energy field. But grooves can be reshaped. Neuroplasticity tells us the brain is fluid. Energy traditions teach that vibration can be retuned. You are not condemned to repetition. You are offered the power of renewal. The competitor was right when old patterns show up. Awareness is the first weapon. See the urge. Catch it. Do not condemn yourself and do not pretend it isn't there. Simply name it. This is the old self returning. By naming it, you create distance. You move from unconscious participant to conscious observer, and in that space lies freedom, the freedom to choose differently. But awareness alone is not enough. The brain cannot live in a vacuum. You cannot merely say no to an old habit. You must say yes to a new one. Replace scrolling with journaling. Replace complaint with gratitude. Replace procrastination with one decisive action. Replace self-pity with movement. Each replacement rewires the brain, reprograms the energy body, and teaches your spirit. We rise now. This is not instant. You will slip. You will repeat old behaviors. But remember, failure is not the moment the old habit appears. Failure is when you stop choosing to return. Growth is built in the return, the decision to realign again and again until the new pathway becomes the default. This is why discipline is sacred. It is not about perfection, but persistence. Philosophy reminds us, character is destiny. What you repeatedly do becomes who you are. If your habits reflect your highest values, you evolve into your highest self. If they reflect your lower impulses, you remain bound. The choice every day is not between good and bad. It is between evolution and repetition. Spiritual law confirms this. Every action is a seed, every habit a harvest. Old habits keep you tethered to old outcomes, like anchors, chaining you to shallow waters. But new habits lift the anchor, opening the current to carry you forward. If you do not replace what weakens you, you will recycle it. If you do, you begin the sacred process of rebirth, becoming new in thought, in energy, in life. So, decide now you are not your old patterns. You are the chooser of patterns. And each choice is a brushstroke painting your future self. When the old urge knocks, and it will do, not despair. Smile at it, recognize it, and then choose again. Because with every renewed choice, you are not just breaking an old habit. You are proving that you are not bound by yesterday. You are evolving. Chapter 9. Integrity in silence. Doing the right thing when unseen. Anyone can perform goodness under the spotlight. Praise is intoxicating applause, seductive recognition, addictive. But the truest measure of character is not what you do when others are watching it, is what you do when no one sees. Integrity in silence is the unseen architecture of greatness, the invisible foundation upon which an unshakable life is built. The competitor was clear. Do the right thing, even when no one cares. Yet let us go deeper. Psychology shows that when you act with integrity in private, you strengthen self-congruence, the alignment between inner values and outer actions. This creates peace of mind, reduces anxiety, and builds trust in yourself. Spiritually unseen actions are not unseen. Energy records everything. Every choice carries vibration into the field. The karmic law states what you sow in silence grows into your future, whether or not anyone applauds. Most people, however, live for witnesses. They clean their life when visitors arrive, work harder when a supervisor looks, speak kindly when others might judge. But when the lights dim, they cut corners, delay compromise. They think, why bother if no one is watching? Yet this reveals a dangerous truth. They were never living by principle, only by performance. Such a life collapses when attention fades. Real strength is built in private. When you pick up the litter, no one else noticed. When you finish the task, no one will praise. When you resist the easy lie, though it would go unchallenged. Each unseen choice fortifies the soul. You become the kind of person who does not need surveillance to behave, applause to persist, or validation to remain steady. You become whole. Philosophers called this virtue. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to live as if no one were watching. The Bhagavad Gita calls it karma yoga, acting with devotion unattached to results or recognition. Jesus spoke of praying in secret where the Father sees in secret. The truth across traditions is the same. Unseen integrity is sacred integrity. Practically, this means setting standards that do not fluctuate with environment. If you say you will wake early, do it even if no one checks. If you commit to honesty, speak truth, even when no one could expose the lie. If you dedicate yourself to growth, practice discipline, even when no one celebrates your progress. Each silent act becomes a thread, and over time, these threads weave the fabric of a life that cannot be torn. Energetically, you will feel it. The self-respect that comes from living true in private radiates outward. People sense your solidity without you needing to announce it. You become magnetic, not by declaring your strength, but by embodying it when no one is looking. And that energy speaks louder than performance ever could. Remember, the world forgets, but your soul does not. Each private decision is a vote for the person you are becoming. And when the storms of life test you, you will not collapse because your strength was never built on applause. It was built in silence, in the hidden hours, in the quiet commitments no one but you and eternity saw. Doing the right thing when unseen is not about morality. It is about mastery. It is the training ground of the unshakable. When you can win in private, you will never lose in public. Chapter 10. The Divine Power of Basics. In a world addicted to novelty, the basics seem boring. People chase new routines, new hacks, new systems, always believing salvation lies in the latest method. Yet greatness does not come from chasing the new. It comes from mastering the simple. The divine power of basics lies not in their glamour, but in their repetition. The competitor was right. True strength is built by repeating fundamentals until they become identity. But let us enrich. This neuroscience shows that repetition creates myelination, the thickening of neural pathways that makes thoughts and actions faster, smoother, automatic. Spiritually, this echoes the Hermetic law of rhythm cycles. Repeated become laws of nature, and by aligning with rhythm, you align with creation itself. In yoga, this is sadhana, daily discipline that refines both mind and spirit. Consider the basics: waking with intention, writing down goals, moving the body, practicing stillness, reflecting, honestly speaking truth. None of these are glamorous yet. Together they shape the mind into a fortress. The brain does not change through inspiration, but through iteration. The spirit does not ascend through occasional effort, but through daily devotion. Why then do most abandon the basics? Because they confuse simplicity with weakness. They want the extraordinary without honoring the ordinary. But the extraordinary is nothing more than the ordinary done consistently over time. Seeds watered daily break stone, rivers carve canyons, not by force, but by constancy. Psychology confirms mastery requires deliberate practice. Repetition with intention rewires thought, sharpens focus, strengthens will. Energetically, repetition builds vibration. Each act emits frequency, and repeated acts create resonance, drawing your life into harmony with your chosen standard. This is why affirmations, meditations, prayers, repeated daily, hold power. They etch grooves into consciousness until belief becomes being. Yet many people abandon repetition when it feels dull. They seek stimulation, not transformation. But transformation lives in the dull moments, the mornings you rise when you don't feel like it, the journal entry you write when inspiration is absent, the small workout you finish even when tired. Each moment is a brick. Together, they build the temple of discipline. Philosophers taught this clearly. Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. The Bhagavad Gita Yoga is skill in action, repeated in daily life. Science, philosophy, and spirit converge. Here, repetition of basics is the path to greatness. So treat the basics as sacred. Do not despise their simplicity. Instead, bow to their power. Make your mornings intentional. Keep your space ordered. Move your body daily. Reflect on your thoughts. Speak fewer but truer words. These are not chores, they are rituals. In their repetition, you call forth clarity, resilience, and strength. In time, you will notice the shift. You will no longer need to force discipline, it will feel natural. You will no longer struggle to motivate yourself, because the basics are now your baseline. The habits that once felt heavy will feel like breathing. And when pressure arrives, your mind will not falter, for it has been trained by years of repetition. Understand this truth. The basics are not beneath you. They are the foundation beneath you. Without them, everything collapses. With them, everything is possible. Master the basics, repeat them daily, and they will shape you into someone unshakable, body, mind, and spirit. Chapter 11. The science of self-discipline. Discipline is the bridge between intention and reality. It is the invisible thread that ties your vision to your action, your promise to your proof. Without it, even the brightest ideas dissolve into daydreams. With it, the smallest effort compounds into greatness. Self-discipline is not a punishment. It is freedom. The freedom of knowing that you can trust yourself to follow through. The competitor explained discipline as a matter of choice, beyond feelings, and this is true. Yet let us deepen this truth with science and spirit. Neuroscience reveals that discipline is not a mystical trait reserved for the few. It is a trainable function of the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that governs willpower, decision-making, and impulse control. Like a muscle, it strengthens with use and weakens with neglect. Each time you resist a temptation, each time you honor a commitment, despite discomfort, you are rewiring the brain toward resilience. Biochemically, discipline is tied to dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation and reward. Modern life hijacks dopamine with instant pleasures, scrolling, sugar distractions. These quick bursts weaken the brain's capacity to pursue long-term goals. But when you train yourself to delay gratification to work for future rewards, you reset your dopamine pathways. Discipline, therefore, is not suppression. It is redirection. It is reclaiming dopamine from cheap thrills and investing it in meaningful growth. Spiritually, discipline is tapas, the sacred fire of self-restraint. In yogic philosophy, tapas is the inner heat generated by committing to practices even when they are uncomfortable. It burns away impurities of character and clears the path for higher consciousness. Philosophers have long echoed this truth. Epictetus reminded us that freedom is not doing whatever we want, but mastery over desires that enslave us. Discipline is the fire that forges freedom. Practically, discipline requires systems, not just strength. Remove temptations from your environment. Design your surroundings to support your higher self. Willpower is strongest when it does not have to fight constantly. A cluttered space, a noisy phone, an unstructured day. These are silent enemies of discipline. Structure your world so that the path of discipline is easier than the path of distraction. Equally important, keep your standards clear. Discipline weakens when standards are vague. If you say, "I'll try to wake early," the mind negotiates. But if you say, "I wake at 6 every morning," you create a law, not a suggestion. Your brain responds to clarity. Your spirit rises to command. Vagueness invites weakness. Precision summons strength. Over time, discipline evolves into identity. At first, it feels heavy. You must push, resist, and remind yourself. But eventually, you no longer think, "I must be disciplined." You simply are disciplined. It becomes who you are, like a river that flows without instruction. And in that state, freedom appears, freedom from inconsistency, from procrastination, from the endless tug-of-war between intention and inaction. Discipline is not about rigidity. It is about alignment. It is not about stripping life of joy. It is about ensuring joy is not stolen by chaos. It does not kill freedom. It creates it. Because when you are disciplined, you are no longer hostage to moods, temptations, or fear. You are led by principle, not by impulse. So, embrace discipline, not as a chain, but as a compass. Train it like a muscle, honor it like fire, and structure it like a system. In time, it will cease to feel like effort and begin to feel like truth. And when discipline becomes your truth, success becomes inevitable. Chapter 12. Energy Management, Protecting Your Life Force. Most people speak of time management, but time is not the true currency of achievement. Energy is. Time without energy is useless. A body may sit for hours, but if the mind is drained, nothing of value is created. To build a mind that wins, you must guard your energy as your most sacred resource. It is the fuel of focus, discipline, and resilience. The competitor warned against scattered focus. Let us go deeper. Science shows that energy is cyclical. The body follows circadian rhythms, peaks of alertness and valleys of rest. When you fight these rhythms, working through fatigue, ignoring recovery, you deplete not just the body, but the mind. Cognitive performance declines, willpower weakens, and the door opens for distraction. To manage energy is to respect these natural cycles, working with them instead of against them. Psychology also reveals the truth of decision fatigue. Each choice, however small, consumes mental energy. By the end of the day, people who waste energy on trivial decisions, scrolling through feeds, debating minor tasks, find themselves exhausted, unable to lead their own lives. This is why rituals matter. By automating the small things, you conserve energy for what matters most. Spiritually, energy is life force, prana, chi, ki. It is not infinite. Every thought you indulge, every environment you enter, every person you interact with, either replenishes or drains your energy. Ancient traditions taught energy hygiene. Protect your aura. Keep your inner circle pure. Meditate to restore balance. Modern science echoes this in studies of emotional contagion. Being around negativity weakens your own vitality. Being in uplifting company strengthens it. Practical energy management begins with awareness. Notice what charges you and what drains you. A cluttered environment saps energy. A toxic conversation leaves you heavy. A walk in nature restores. Breathwork calms. Movement recharges. Your task is to curate your world so that what surrounds you supports, not sabotages your vitality. Food and sleep are also sacred levers. Junk food, irregular sleep, overstimulation. These dull the nervous system and erode focus. But clean nourishment, hydration, and consistent rest recharge the cellular batteries. This is not merely physical, it is spiritual stewardship of the temple you inhabit. To neglect the body is to weaken the mind. Energetically, you must learn to close leaks. Not every problem is yours to solve. Not every argument deserves your energy. Not every message requires a response. Every time you give energy to what does not serve your growth, you rob your future self of strength. Set boundaries boldly. Withdraw from the unessential. Your energy belongs to creation, not to chaos. Remember this truth: the mind that wins is not the one that spends the most hours working, but the one that knows where to direct energy with precision. Like a beam of light, diffuse energy warms, but focused energy burns through steel. Protect your energy, focus it, and direct it to what aligns with your vision. Energy is sacred currency. Spend it wisely. Guard it fiercely. Invest it where it multiplies. And you will find that with the same 24 hours as everyone else, you create a life few can imagine, because you were rich, not in time, but in life force. Chapter 13. The Cosmic Law of Focus and Creation. Focus is not merely a mental skill. It is a law woven into the very structure of reality. Where focus goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, creation follows. This principle has been echoed across science, philosophy, and spiritual tradition alike. To master focus is to participate consciously in the act of creation, aligning your inner vision with the outer unfolding of your life. The competitor spoke of protecting focus. Let us expand. Neuroscience shows that the brain operates on selective attention. Like a lens, it magnifies what you concentrate on and filters out what you ignore. This is why two people in the same circumstance can live entirely different realities. One sees obstacles, the other sees opportunities. Spiritually, this mirrors the Hermetic law of mentalism. All is mind. The universe is mental. What you fixate upon becomes the blueprint that reality mirrors back to you. Think of focus as a sacred fire. If scattered, it flickers weakly and warms nothing. If concentrated, it burns through steel. The ancients knew this. Yogis practiced dharana, unwavering concentration, as the gateway to meditation and higher states of awareness. Martial artists train to remain locked on a single point, even as chaos erupts around them. In modern science, this same state is called flow, the zone of peak performance where time dissolves and creativity surges. But here's the paradox: focus is simple yet difficult, because the world is designed to fracture it. Every notification, every demand, every stimulation is an invitation to disperse your energy. Each time you say yes to distraction, you say no to creation. Each yes drains the cosmic current that could have been shaping your destiny. How then do you align with this law? Begin with intention. Choose each day the one or two things that matter most, and devote your full presence to them. Do not dilute your life across dozens of shallow tasks. Shallow focus creates shallow results. Deep focus creates transformation. Second, practice presence. When eating, just eat. When working, just work. When resting, just rest. Modern science shows multitasking is a myth. The brain does not truly do two things at once. It switches, rapidly losing energy each time. Spiritually scattered presence is scattered energy. Single-pointed presence, however, channels the divine current of creation. Third, align your focus with vision. Ask, what am I building? Who am I becoming? Without vision, focus can be wasted on trivial pursuits. With vision, focus becomes a magnet pulling resources, people, and circumstances into alignment with your chosen path. This is the deeper layer of manifestation, not vague wishing, but sustained focus aligned with consistent action. Understand your life is already proof of this law. Whatever you consistently give attention to expands. If you feed fear, fear grows. If you feed possibility, possibility multiplies. The cosmos is impartial. It reflects the energy of your focus back to you. You are the artist, and your focus is the brush. So guard this brush. Do not waste it painting trivialities. Point it toward what matters. Give it to creation, not to distraction. And remember, each moment of focus is not just an act of productivity. It is an act of alignment with universal law. When you master focus, you do more than succeed. You participate consciously in shaping reality itself. Chapter 14. The Resilience. Blueprint: turning pain into power. Life will not spare you from hardship. Pain will arrive uninvited. Plans will unravel. Loss, failure, and uncertainty will visit every life. Most people spend their days trying to avoid this truth, as though by running fast enough, they could outrun suffering. But suffering is not the enemy. It is the forge. What matters is not whether pain comes. It will, but what you decide to do with it. The resilient mind takes pain and transforms it into power. The competitor reminded us, when things go wrong, the strong do not collapse. They fix their mindset, ask better questions, and keep moving. Let us take this further. Psychology has discovered what is called post-traumatic growth, the phenomenon where adversity, instead of destroying, deepens wisdom, strengthens character, and awakens gratitude. Spiritual traditions have always known this, that the wound can be the womb of awakening. As Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. Resilience is not about denying pain. It is about transmuting it. Alchemy teaches us that base metal becomes gold only through fire. In the same way, your struggles are furnaces. They strip away illusions, reveal your deeper strength, and invite you to evolve into a truer version of yourself. Each time you endure and rise, you discover that you are larger than the pain you feared. But how do you turn pain into power? First, pause. Do not panic. Pain ignites the survival brain, but stillness reawakens the higher mind. In that pause, ask, what is life teaching me through this? What quality in me is being invited to grow? Instead of why me, ask, what now? That shift reframes the pain from punishment to preparation. Second, extract meaning. Pain without meaning breaks people. Pain with meaning builds them. Viktor Frankl, survivor of the concentration camps, wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how." Find the purpose in your suffering, even if it is only to grow stronger, to become more compassionate, or to shed what no longer serves. Third act, with resilience rituals. Breathe deeply to regulate the storm inside the body. Move physically even when your spirit feels heavy, because motion signals life. Write down lessons turning chaos into clarity. Connect with silence, prayer, or meditation. reminding yourself that beyond the noise of pain lies a deeper stillness. Pain narrows perspective, but resilience widens it again. Spiritually, resilience is initiation. Every trial is an invitation to embody higher qualities: courage, patience, compassion, endurance. Without pain, these qualities remain abstract. With pain, they are forged into your being. You do not become resilient by reading about it. You become resilient by living through what once seemed unbearable and surviving. Think of nature. Trees grow strongest where winds are harshest. Diamonds are formed under crushing pressure. Rivers carve valleys through relentless persistence. The universe is whispering this truth everywhere. Resistance is not your enemy, it is your sculptor. So do not curse the pain. Do not waste it. Alchemize it. Let it carve. You sharpen. You strengthen you. Let it burn away weakness until only essence remains. And when you emerge, and you will not only have survived, you will have transformed. Your pain will no longer define you. It will empower you. That is the blueprint of resilience. Pause, extract, meaning, act with ritual, embody the lesson. Repeat this, and no storm will ever leave you weaker than it found you. Pain will come, but you will rise not as the same person who entered the fire, but as someone refined, unshakable, and radiant with strength. Chapter 15. Alignment: living true to your inner standard. Success without alignment is hollow. Many climb ladders only to discover they were leaning against the wrong wall. True strength comes not from external victories alone, but from inner congruence, the state in which your thoughts, words, and actions reflect your deepest values. Alignment is the art of living in harmony with yourself, so that every step forward feels both powerful and peaceful. The competitor emphasized keeping promises and finishing what you start. This principle is indeed vital, for without it, trust erodes. Yet let us expand further. Alignment is the fabric of self-trust. When you speak one thing but do another, your spirit feels torn. This fracture breeds doubt, guilt, and inner conflict. But when you live in alignment, you walk with quiet authority. Your presence radiates authenticity. You no longer have to convince others, you embody truth. From a psychological perspective, alignment is integrity in action. Cognitive dissonance. The tension between what you believe and what you do drains enormous energy. It keeps the mind restless, the heart heavy, and the body tense. But when you close the gap between belief and behavior, clarity floods in. Decisions simplify. Anxiety dissolves. Life feels lighter because you are no longer at war with yourself. From a spiritual perspective, alignment is resonance. The ancients taught that the universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are. When your actions vibrate in harmony with your highest self, you attract circumstances, people, and opportunities that reflect that vibration. This is the essence of the law of correspondence: as within, so without. Alignment within creates coherence without. Practically, alignment demands discernment. It asks you to pause before commitments and ask, does this reflect my values? Does this move me toward my vision? If not, decline, even if it pleases others. To live aligned is to choose principle over popularity, truth over convenience, growth over comfort. Each time you do, you strengthen your inner foundation. Alignment also requires courage. It is easy to drift into the life others expect of you. It is harder to honor the whisper of your own soul. Yet that whisper is the compass. Ignore it too long, and you will feel lost, no matter how much you achieve. Honor it, and you will feel whole, even when the world doubts you. One way to practice alignment is through daily self-audit. Each night reflect. Did I live true today? Did my words match my actions? Did I honor my values or betray them? Do not judge, only notice. Then each morning, recommit to narrowing the gap. Over time, alignment ceases to be effort, it becomes identity. The aligned person is magnetic. Their presence feels trustworthy, their actions reliable, their words steady. People sense it even if they cannot explain it. More importantly, you sense it. You move without hesitation, speak without fear, act without inner conflict. Your energy is no longer fractured, but concentrated. Remember, power without alignment corrupts, but alignment without power inspires. To live aligned is to fuse both strength guided by integrity, success infused with meaning. This is not just about achievement, it is about wholeness. And wholeness is the true victory. Live aligned and your path becomes clear, your mind steady, your spirit unshakable. You will not just win, you will win in a way that feels right, feels true, and feels eternal. Chapter 16. Transcendence. Mastering self through universal law. At the peak of mental training lies transcendence, the state where discipline, focus, resilience, and alignment converge into something greater than personal success. It is the realization that your mind is not only a tool for survival, but also a vessel for the universal intelligence that flows through all existence. To transcend is to step beyond ego, beyond fear, beyond limitation, and to live as a conscious co-creator with the cosmos itself. The competitor spoke of strength under pressure, of mastering daily habits, of keeping promises. These are the foundations. But beyond foundations lies expansion. Science and spirituality together suggest that human potential is vast. Neuroplasticity shows the brain can rewire itself throughout life, while mystical traditions remind us that consciousness is infinite, unbounded, and connected to the whole. When you align these truths, you awaken to your deeper role, not merely to build a strong mind, but to embody the universal laws that govern creation. The first of these laws is the law of cause and effect. Every thought, word, and action carries a vibration that ripples outward. What you plant in consciousness, you harvest in experience. This is not superstition. It is observable. Focus consistently on growth, and growth appears. Feed fear, and fear multiplies. Transcendence requires mastery of your mental seeds, for the mind is the garden and life, the harvest. The second is the law of vibration. Everything is energy in motion. Your mood, your intentions, your presence, each emits a frequency. Low vibrations of anger, doubt, or despair attract experiences that match them. Higher vibrations of gratitude, courage, and love draw higher experiences. By disciplining your mind, you are not just training thoughts. You are tuning your frequency to match the life you wish to create. The third is the law of rhythm. All things rise and fall, flow and return. No success is permanent, no struggle eternal. Seasons change. Night becomes day. What matters is not clinging to the peak or fearing the valley, but riding the rhythm with awareness. Resilient minds see setbacks not as endings, but as part of the universal dance. Transcendent minds even welcome them, knowing every winter prepares the soil for spring. In practice, transcendence means living beyond reactivity. When insulted, you do not return insult, you observe. When pressured, you do not collapse, you remain centered. When challenged, you do not shrink, you expand. The strong mind responds not with instinct, but with insight. Each challenge becomes not a threat, but a mirror, reflecting back what still requires mastery. Spiritually, transcendence is union. In meditation, prayer, or silence, you glimpse that you are not separate from the whole. You are a wave in the ocean of consciousness. This awareness dissolves fear, because fear is rooted in separation. It dissolves envy, because envy is rooted in comparison. And it dissolves doubt, because doubt is rooted in forgetting your source. The transcendent life is not about escape from the world, but deeper participation in it. You still wake early, guard focus, embrace discipline, but now every act is infused with meaning. Work becomes service, discipline becomes devotion, focus becomes creation, resilience becomes trust. You live not only for personal gain, but as an instrument of something vast and timeless, moving through you. At this stage, winning in every situation no longer means conquering others, or never failing. It means never being broken by circumstance, because you no longer live merely at the level of circumstance. You live at the level of principle, of universal law, of inner mastery. That is transcendence, the highest victory. When the mind reaches this state, peace and power flow together. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer fear, you trust. You no longer stumble blindly. You walk as one aligned with the eternal rhythm of the cosmos. This is the summit of mental training, not control for its own sake, but liberation, wisdom, and unity with the laws that govern all life. Conclusion. The unbreakable mind. You have walked through the journey from the first hour of your day to the final law of transcendence. You have learned that a strong mind is not built by chance nor gifted by fortune, but forged through discipline, sharpened by focus, steadied by resilience, and purified by alignment. Each chapter has been a stone placed on the path toward mastery, and together they form the architecture of the unbreakable mind. The competitor promised that if you train your mind, you can win in every situation. That is true, but winning is more than surviving struggle or achieving success. Winning is living with clarity when the world is chaotic. It is standing steady when others collapse. It is acting from principle rather than impulse, from vision rather than fear. To win is not merely to achieve an outcome. It is to become the kind of person who cannot be defeated by outcomes at all. Science has revealed the tools: neuroplasticity, habit loops, energy cycles, decision fatigue, and the power of repetition. Spirituality has revealed the truths: the law of vibration, the rhythm of life, the alchemy of pain, and the fire of self-discipline. Philosophy has revealed the wisdom that freedom is mastery over oneself, that integrity is power, that meaning transforms suffering. Together they form one truth, that the mind is both the battlefield and the crown. Train it, and you hold dominion over your life. Neglect it, and you remain captive to circumstance. But mastery is not a destination. It is a rhythm, a practice, a daily alignment. Some days you will falter. Some mornings you will forget. But remember, this falling is not failure, staying down is. Each time you return to discipline, each time you choose focus, each time you rise after pain, you prove again that your mind belongs to you and not to the chaos around you. Think of your life as a river. Without direction, it meanders. With barriers, it floods. But with discipline and alignment, it becomes a current, steady, powerful, unstoppable. This is the life of the unbreakable mind, not free of storms, but flowing through them, carrying you forward, regardless of what stands in the way. So let this be your final reminder. You are not at the mercy of circumstance. You are not defined by distraction, weakness, or fear. You are the guardian of your own mind, the steward of your energy, the alchemist of your pain, and the architect of your destiny. When you live by discipline, protect your focus, align your actions, and transcend your limitations, you do not merely survive life, you shape it. And when the world shakes, you will not. When noise rises, you will stay clear. When obstacles appear, you will move with steady force, for you will have built the rarest strength of all, a mind unbreakable, a spirit unshaken, a life aligned with the eternal laws of growth and truth. This is not an ending. It is a beginning, the beginning of a life where you do not wait for permission, do not surrender to weakness, and do not hand your mind to the world. From this moment forward, you carry the power to win, not sometimes, not in perfect conditions, but in every situation. The unbreakable mind is yours to build, and once built, nothing can take it away. Thank you for listening with an open mind and heart. If a certain chapter or insight resonated most with you, share it in the comments. You might help someone else find exactly what they need today. Keep this book saved so you can return to its words whenever life calls for reflection or guidance. I wish you health, peace, and wisdom in every step you take.